Hello everyone, I'm Brahmithra. Welcome to another Let's Talk. I did a Let's Talk series for like the Black Friday updates and stuff, and I went over all the Wave 4 stuff and everything a long time ago, like last year. But we have another reason to. I got the card pack in, so we're going to talk about it. Mainly with this card pack, there's two ways to interpret what might happen with this. There's going to be a 1.6 core reprint. So most of what's in here, I mean, everything that's in here will be in the 1.6. I don't know if, far as rules go, there might be some stuff that's not in the 1.6 core remake. I don't know. Everything in here could be in there, or everything, or some stuff in here might not be. I don't know. There's fixes to expansions. I don't know if those will be in the core. They seem like they will be, according to reading this rule book. It makes note that if you don't own the expansions, just set it to the side. There's also promos in here from Kickstarter 1, which I don't know if you would put in core remakes. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. So I don't want to call this exactly a 1.6 Let's Talk. It's specifically a card pack. So just in case there's stuff in here that's not in the 1.6 core. But we're going to talk about big changes. And with that, I'm going to start with the core game stuff. And then I'll go on to the expansion stuff included in the promo stuff. Just to cover because I know the stuff in here for 1.6 will definitely be in the core remake or reprint. So let's just get started. So here was the original update. I didn't take pictures of everything. This is from the Kickstarter update. So this is Poots holding the card pack or whatever. It's the same thing, as you can see here. It's not my picture. I took a picture too, but I didn't want to scan everything in the card pack and put up images. I scanned the stuff I want to talk about, but if there's already pictures of it, I don't need to talk about it. So here's the perfect resources. We're going to start with this because this is like the biggest change, really. So these perfect resources are just basic resources that just go right into the basic resource deck. A lot of the changes that happen to, crafting and stuff, it's all going to be based around these perfect resources, which is good. There's a lot of good changes. To note, you can dislike one thing in something, and it doesn't mean you hate it. I like 95% of the changes. I like everything that got changed with core, basically, except for like one thing. Look, you can dislike something and not completely hate it, right? When there's like 100 cards or whatever in here, not different cards, but there's a lot of stuff in here. And if I just dislike one thing, it does not mean that I hate everything about it. I enjoy everything about the card pack except for like two things. So I just because I say something bad about something doesn't mean I hate everything. So with the perfect organs, this is the biggest change, pretty much in my opinion, because this is going to be a lot of stuff moving forward. So these are the basic versions, as you can see here: the basic hide, basic organ, or perfect basic resources, perfect hide, perfect bone, perfect organ. That's what I meant to say. You can consume this and you gain age 10. I don't know. It's totally not worth it, in my opinion, to ever really eat this. Maybe late game, but I don't know. It's so much better just to level up or to gain experience hunting, because there's other bonuses. There's understanding. There's bold. All this other stuff's going to trigger to just all of a sudden gain 10 age, whatever. But that's the consume on this. It's fine. It's interesting, consume, whatever. At least there was something rather than just flavor text, I guess. That's cool. There might be some instance where you would need that plus 10 age, but that's what this is behind here. If you consume and you roll it, it's a 6+, 6+, then you gain 10 age. But anyway, the thing to really point out with this is these are the only perfect resources available in core, and they are in the basic resource deck. But going forward, where is it? Going forward, here's the Crimson Croc. See, this is probably changed now. They're no longer high grade, and it doesn't say perfect organ. It just says perfect. See, it says perfect organ and then perfect. So this wording's going to change. But as you can see here, the croc has perfect stuff that they drop. And I'm assuming all of them will from now on. You'll be able to get perfect resources from monsters. Which is interesting because this is the only way of getting them in core. So that will lead me to something that I have to say about the Screaming Antelope. But for the most part, the only way to get them now is this. And you just shove them right into the basic resource deck. I don't know. I haven't, obviously, the card pack just came out, so I haven't played like hundreds of games. I don't have a simulator to run how likely these are. The most notable thing is Love Juice becomes a little bit less common. I think the odds of getting Love Juice used to be like 1 in every 3 hunts of the level 1 lion, you'd get a Love Juice, or 1 in every 2 was from the basic draws alone with the White Lion. Now it's like a 1 in 3. It went up to 1 game. It went up by 1 game amount. When I did the math, the odds of getting it went from either 25 to 20 or from 33 to 25. I forget what it was. It's either went from 3 to 4 or from 4 to 5 games. Something like that. So it's not that super significant, but kind of slightly, just it's notable, the Love Juice. Other than that, there's no scrap. It wasn't like a perfect scrap. So either way, interesting, neat. I'll talk about what these exactly do, but just keep in mind there will be easier ways to get them in future expansions. So, and that might also change, perhaps. None of the White Lion or Screaming Antelope or Phoenix. Well, I'm sure Phoenix will get them in Gambler's Chest, but just note, none of them got it. So, now to the other minor corrections, which are not really worth highlighting that much. And then I'll get into the stuff with the new images, and I'll show everything, and I'll talk about everything that really changed. But a White Lion hunt got changed to just be more specific. It used to be vague. You used to just assume it started the showdown right away. But the way it was worded, you used to be able to complete the entire hunt with that White Lion event. Now it starts the showdown immediately. It says it on the card. Screaming Antelope, there's a critical wound that now reflects the correct permanent injury was changed. It used to be a thing. There's a Screaming Antelope hunt event that got a little bit more difficult, like 20% more difficult. It used to just be just a 1 was the bad result. Now it's 1 through 3 is the bad result. Some gear cards, nothing changed about the gear cards. They're in the pack because their backs got changed. They're crafted at new locations. So the back of the card is what changed, not the actual card itself. So I'm not going to be scanning all the cards in here. I scanned the ones that are new or got large changes to show here. I'll put them to have on the screen. But like all the charms are just moved around. Some of the stuff from Barber Surgeons moved around. But nothing about them changed. They're just crafted at a new location. So it's just the back of the card. That's all that's changed. The other thing, keywords were added to the final lantern to make it a lantern now, and to Lantern Halberd to also give that the lantern keyword. And I think that's pretty much all the minor corrections. And then, of course, there were corrections. These same kind of minor corrections happened to expansions. But again, I'll talk about that after I go over all the core stuff, just in case those aren't included in the reprint of 1.6 core. Then that way, at least you know the first part of this video would just be talking about 1.6. So, let's go. Let me pull up images now of actual things. So starting off, here we go. You can see this is Organ Grinder. It doesn't look very different, but the biggest thing you can see here is Monster Grease costs 2 organs to make now, and Barber Surgeon is created right from here with the which is an endeavor. So you no longer need to kill Antelope level 2 with pottery to get Barber Surgeon. So this is great. Not the Monster Grease thing is also good. It's fine. Monster Grease is, it's fine. I don't mind the Monster Grease change. It's a little bit more expensive. Yeah, you're not going to use 4 Monster Grease. It could be argued that, you know, with evasion less available, survival of the fittest might be a little bit more powerful because evasion's a little less available. But I don't know. I like the fact that Monster Grease costs 2. I don't think you need to have like everybody using 4 Monster Grease all the time. Monster Grease itself was also changed, but I'll get into that. I'm just going to talk about settlement locations right now. So I think it's good. I mean, so Flammable was added to Monster Grease. I can talk about it later, but that's the other thing. That the Flammable's also meh. It doesn't really do things. There's only like 1 or 2 things, and a very specific expansion glory targets flammable stuff. But the main thing is Barber Surgeon. Barber Surgeon being easy to get and more readily available and not locked behind the Barber Surgeon is awesome. All this is just amazing. There's even the settlement location itself for Barber Surgeon is great. I'll pull up Barber Surgeon real quick. Here's Barber Surgeon. Barber Surgeon saw a lot of changes, but just back to why Barber Surgeon's great in general. So Barber Surgeon has trepanning, which is amazing. You can just cure disorders here. You can't really die, and you can get random fighting arts here. And it says you gain 1 random, which would be also reflected by romantic, so you'd be able to draw the 3 here. I guess you could die if you kept doing it and got the 5 bleedings. I think intracranial hemorrhage gives 1 bleeding, but you'd have to do this quite a bit to die from it, which is great. So this'll just location itself is just a great location, even to just endeavor it. Now to talk about the things that actually have changed. So first aid kit is crafted here. It always was crafted here, but it costs a perfect bone. As you can see, perfect bone, perfect hide, perfect organ is here. Perfect bone, perfect hide, perfect organ. So a lot of this stuff is where those new perfect resources come in. So Brain Mint was removed from the location, as now it's treated as Antelope specific. So it always was because of the resource was Antelope specific, but all the 3 charms are now created here, as this is now neutral. It's a neutral location. It's not a quarry specific location as it used to be. But as you can see, the charms themselves still require pottery, so it's like the same gate is placed on them as you would needing pottery to get here in the first place. Scavenger kit is here, which is great. Scavenger kit and bug trap are just good things. You could really use them now because you're not going to have like 4 grease on everybody. You might be able to open up the, it opens up the gear grid slightly. The other thing I want to mention is a lot of this stuff is done to prepare for Gambler's Chest, more so than fixing and updating 1.6. In my opinion, this is my opinion. There's some, you could... There was a lot of expected changes from this pack. I never really expected them. You get way more in this pack than what I ever expected to get. There's way more stuff in here. There's a lot of cool stuff that I never thought you'd ever get. I personally never thought that this pack was going to fix core. There's a lot of problems still in core, that balance issues. Some things could have received buffs and stuff. This mainly targets Gambler's Chest and node system integration. That's why a lot of this stuff was removed off Lope. That's why the Lope was made a specific, like the Stone Circle was made specific to it. That's why a lot of these things were moved here. That's why a lot of these things cost perfect instead of Lope resources. This is made to make Gambler's Chest better. That's what this was for, and the side effect of doing that is the Lope and the White Lion really didn't get much help. So, but, the other nice thing is Phoenix did. Phoenix got some buffs because Phoenix is in Gambler's Chest. Again, this is all just my opinion, but that's what I take from this card pack. So it is what it is. Again, these are just my thoughts and my opinion on it. There's a lot of thoughts and a lot of opinions elsewhere, and anywhere else you want to go, they can get. If you're looking for different opinions, you can get them elsewhere. But that's what I think. I think these are great. The fact that Scavenger Kit, Bug Trap are just in the game is great. That's really cool. They were underutilized things before because of how hard it was to unlock this location just from pottery and a level 2 lope. So this is neat. Maybe you might even be able to see scouts use this stuff. That'd be cool. Might overpower scouts a little bit, but still, lots of cool stuff. I'm glad that this change was made. This is a great change for the game. Just in general, even without Gambler's Chest, having this available, this location itself is cool. Like I said, cures disorders, gain fighting arts from it. This is just cool. This is just great. Great location. Now on to Weapon Crafter. This has changed slightly. It had 3 things taken off of it and were moved to the Plumery, which is the Phoenix location, and it got 3 new items, which are the Scrap Bone Spear, Scrap Rebar, and Scrap Lantern. So these are the 3 new items that were added to the Weapon Crafter. Let me zoom in. So, let's look at some other stuff here. Zambato's cost was changed. Skullcap Hammer's cost was changed. So Skullcap Hammer was changed to 1 skull and 1 hide. This is cool. It's very thematic. It's more of a thematic change to actually use a skull in the Skullcap Hammer. It's a great change in my opinion. So I mean, it uses a hide now. I think it used to be 2 bone and an organ, but now it uses a hide and a skull. Doesn't matter. I don't know. I like it. It's more thematic. It uses a skull. Whatever. It's a neat change. Zambato itself was also changed. This was made a neutral item, as you can see. That means it's removed from the White Lion, but White Lion can now be removed easily. So this has lots of buffs to it, lots of neat stuff to it. By doing this, it costs a perfect bone now, but with it not being attached to White Lion, that's good. It means you don't need to use White Lion to get the full effect from Dung Beetle moving forward. Dung Beetle, now since Zambato's in the game, you could calcify this just by itself without needing White Lion. So again, a lot of this stuff was meant to make Gambler's Chest better. Gambler's Chest replaces White Lion and replaces Antelope. Hence why they were just not really that central focus. That's a good or a bad thing? I don't know. I like it. I don't mind. So I like Zambato being part of the core game. I think this is a great change. The other thing, Zambato was not replaced. So you see, like these 3 items here, the new items were the Bone Spear, the Rebar, and the Lantern. That stuff went to Plumery, and then was replaced. See, they got some stuff here to replace it at the Weapon Crafter. The White Lion didn't really get anything to replace Zambato. It could in the future. That's another thing to think about with these card packs, right? Just the fact that the card pack exists shows a willingness to update the game more frequently than 10 years. So there could be more updates coming, which is great. There might be updates that come and readdress the White Lion and readdress Screaming Antelope later, but it could readdress all kinds of things in the updates. Just the fact that this exists is good. So, regardless if you like the pack or not, the fact that it exists is good, and no one can debate that it's a problem that the game's getting updated. So either way, there could be more changes coming, which is always great. So White Lion might get a replacement for Zambato later on. But again, I'll talk about these items since they're new, the Scrap Bone Spear, the Scrap Rebar, and the Scrap Lantern. But as far as Skullcap Hammer goes, it's the same. As far as Zambato goes, it's just the same. Just the costs were changed. Counterweight X I'll talk about. This did receive a nerf, which is great for the game. I'll talk about that. So let's move on to the Plumery now that I've talked about what got removed from here. And here's Plumery. It's a busy card. Plumery is very busy. It's got a lot of stuff on it now. As far as the location itself, it basically is just has more options, right? The Plumery's just got all kinds of stuff here now. There's some weapons that got changed, but I'll go over that because they're pretty big changes for those weapons, so I'll talk about it. Other than that, it's just a very busy location now. But still, great for the game, I think. Again, the goal here is to make the node system work better and to make Gambler's Chest feel better when you play it. So this is still great for everything, in my opinion. So that's basically the Plumery. It did get a new card, but that's only to make it more busy. A lot of stuff didn't change. I'll talk about the weapons when we do that. So the next location I'll move on to is Blacksmith. There's interesting stuff going on here. Lantern Sword. Let me zoom in. So Lantern Sword. It costs 1 less bone. The Ring Whip costs 1 less organ. So Ring Whip costs 1 less organ. As I said, Lantern Sword is 1 less. The dagger also goes down. It's 1 less leather. These are all great because these weapons are not super great to begin with. So, it's great that they all cost less. That's just great. Especially, making things cost less encourages maybe more use of them. So, all great. Demon Slayer, or where's Dragon Slayer? I mean, I said demons. Dragon Slayer no longer requires paint, as you can see here, and Polishing Lantern. This is a new item, so I'll talk about new items when I talk about all the changes to all the items and everything. But that's pretty much it for the Blacksmith. Now to the Screaming Antelope location, which is Stone Circle. So Stone Circle is now the reward for defeating the Screaming Antelope. Just any level, just like the White Lion and the Phoenix. So just like everything else now. It matches everything else. This is great. I love that change. It's amazing. You don't have to pay for it anymore. So that's also good. But we're going to talk about the Screaming set in general. But as you can see here, you don't have to pay for this anymore, so it's free. So the Screaming Skirt went up from being 1 pelt, now it's a pelt and a hide. Just fine. You get the reward for free now. The Elder Earrings are no longer, they're here now. Elder Earrings and Speed Potion, these are here. So, whatever. Sure. I guess they're Antelope specific. I don't know what really makes those specifically Antelope specific. I guess thematically because it's got so much movement. And it's just old. I don't know. Either way, neat, cool. They're moved here. Let's talk about the Screaming Antelope changes to the set and everything. So let me pull that up. Oh, I did. You know what? I didn't scan the card, the armor set card. I thought I did. I was going to open up the armor set, but I guess I didn't scan it. Either way, so the Screaming Antelope set, right? The set bonus was reduced from 2 armor to all locations down to 1. The Screaming Horns got more clarity. It no longer can cause infinite insanity, or insanity being gained by the person who did it. So that's great. I think actually lowering the armor is fine as well, down from 2 to everything to 1. Or from 3. The armor itself, on the Screaming Horn was reduced, is what I'm talking about. Yes, the set also was reduced from 2 to 1 to all locations, but the Screaming Horns had their armor reduced from 3 to 2. Screaming Skirt is the same thing, down from 3 to 2. The Screaming Bracers had the Add Acanthus removed from that card. So it still has the +2 to your rolls when you interact with terrain, but now when you defeat a level 3 Antelope, you get the Astute ability. So, that just does that. You gain that ability to a random survivor. You can't even choose, but it's a random survivor gains that ability to place Acanthus plants. So, that's now the extra reward for beating an Antelope, aside from just its location. So, speaking of level 3 rewards, the Screaming Antelope level 3 no longer rewards vermin, which is great. I know it's a little less thematic because the thing's covered in ticks and everything, but still, having it reward vermin was like just an extra bonus on that thing because no other... Not only, you already were incentivized to hunt it anyway because it's a loot pinata, but the fact that it also gave vermin. So it just gave you all of its resource deck and then also just gave you vermin, which was ridiculous. So the fact that it doesn't reward vermin is great. But yeah, again, I'll talk about the Screaming Antelope, all right? The Screaming Antelope itself did not receive any changes, and I didn't really expect it to at all to receive any changes to the fight, right? That's a huge fight mechanic. There is a lot of problems with the Screaming Antelope. The fight itself, I think that fight might get readjusted in Campaigns of Death along with the White Lion, because the White Lion received no buffs. That set really needed some help. Even with the nerfs to Screaming Antelope set, it's probably still better than the White Lion set, which is fine because it's a node 2, but White Lion needed some help and it didn't get anything. So, I guess if you want to say the Giga Lion helped it, I don't know. Maybe the Nucalope will change how the fight goes for the Screaming Antelope, but there's a lot of core issues that are wrong with the Screaming Antelope that the card pack just was not going to be able to do. You need something big, an expansion needs to fix the Screaming Antelope. So, I know there's a lot of people still upset and say that this doesn't help it at all and it completely... No, yeah, the Screaming Antelope had a lot of problems with it. Like, the trap is very easy to avoid. The monster is overall pretty safe, except for, like, the one thing that can eat your melee weapons, but... There's a lot, and it heals itself, so if you don't somehow, the first time even fighting it, you don't get the whole resource deck, you can just let it heal itself, and then get its resource deck. You just can get a ton of acanthus from fighting that thing. There's a lot wrong with the Screaming Antelope. So that will have to come later. But for now, this is fine. It puts it in line with the Smog Stingers, I'm assuming. So, or with that set, the power of this set is probably in line with Smog Stinger's set, which I'm fine with. I really do think that Campaigns of Death will address White Lion and Screaming Antelope, or at least I hope they do. But I never expected the card pack to address the actual core problems with that fight. There is a lot wrong with that fight. It needs a whole new deck. It needs a new trap. It needs a whole new hit location. Like, everything needs to be reworked. It can't have so much acanthus. There's so much stuff that's weird about it. Either way, with that said, if all these change, this will probably be what 1.6 still is. So you're still going to find yourself fighting a whole bunch of antelopes just because it still rewards so much stuff. I mean, there was stuff that could have been done. Maybe you could have, because they did include a sticker for the rewards section and all that stuff. Maybe you could have just made it reward like one monster resource for level 1, 1, 2, and 3 for the monster resources. And then new players would have been like, wow, this thing is terrible. I would never want to hunt that. There's no way this thing could only reward one monster resource. There has to be something else to it. And then you make the fact that it just explodes resources its gimmick. You could have done that, but even that's not the best. That's not even a great fix at all. So there's a lot wrong with Screaming Antelope. But moving forward, this is the set. I'm fine with the way it is. Look, the card pack could have not existed, right? And then the Antelope would have been a worse problem because then the Antelope armor is better than some of the other stuff, right? At least now, Antelope armor is not the best. So I'm fine with all these changes. I think they're great. They at least address some problems of the fact that you're farming this thing and you get an awesome Node 2 set that's better than most sets in the game. Now that's not the case, but the problems with the fight are still there. So that's the Screaming Antelope set. I didn't scan all that stuff because mostly didn't change. So let's talk actual new gear. New changes and stuff, so I'll pull up all the cards. First, starting with Counterweight X, as you can see here, on a perfect hit, monster suffers 1 wound. Do not draw a hit location. Limit once per attack. that's the new part. This is limited once per attack now, which is great. This weapon was super powerful. This is a great little nerf. This makes this fine, in my opinion. Still not the best. This is still a really powerful ability, but again, card pack could have not existed, and all these things would have not been addressed, and then Gambler's Chest would have been in a bad way. So at least they're addressed. So that's great. Counterweight X. Here's a Scrap Dagger. This itself didn't really change. The thing here is mostly barbed. This is a new keyword or new gear ability. On a perfect hit, gain +2 strength for the rest of the attack. So it's just barbed too. So the way keywords worked, barb is just this. The on perfect hit, gain X strength for the remainder of the attack, and then X is the number next to it. So again, barbed 2, this is the new thing. Lots of things have barbed now. Barbed 2, barbed 4. It's just a new ability. This is just, again, prepping for Gambler's Chest, prepping for the future. And making this a keyword ability means you don't need to write it on all of it. So you can have things that will just say up here, barbed 2. And then everyone will know what it is. Because these are all core game stuff. So, great change. Here's the Phoenix Sword, the Hollow Sword. Most notable here, this is a weapon, a melee sword, and dagger. So this is great. It's still a sword. It's just a sword dagger now, which is awesome. The speed was reduced to 2, and the strength is increased to 5. And because it's no longer paired, when you get the card pack, the core game has 4 of them, and the card pack only has 3 of them. So yes, you're replacing 4 things with just 3 because it's no longer paired. Because if something's not paired, that means you only get 3 of it. That's how it works. So that's why 3 are only replacing 4. This weapon's really cool. It's got this new ability. This weapon gains strength equal to the monster's damage attribute. It's neat. It's a really niche little thing here. It's a really cool little ability. It's very unique. It's not super great. It's not bad. It's something. It's really cool. This is just doing new things is cool, and at least it tended to do something with it. So this is really cool. I like it. It's an interesting little rule. It gives a flourish of uniqueness to this hollow sword. I mean, along with being sword and dagger. So yeah, I like the effort that they went to just add this. I think it's neat. It's cool. I like it. I enjoy it. Let's talk about the Tomahawk. So this is the Tomahawk here. The affinities here have changed. It used to require green affinity. Now you don't need green affinities at all in this equation to get Savage and Paired. So that's neat. It's pretty big changes getting rid of green if you think about it really. So like with Monster Grease not being something you're going to put on every single person, you lose the little left half green affinity, right? So let's say you go and you hunt some Phoenixes early with this now, right? More often than not, you're probably going to be trying to get your tanking survivor out of rawhide at this point and into like leather or into maybe the Phoenix gear. Since you're hunting it, you probably want Phoenix set's still really great. Phoenix set's awesome for tanking and stuff. The body is a really cool one. Anyway, I know if you're using Phoenix set, you can get the green, but let's say you're not, right? Let's say you're gonna get the Phoenix set for not your Tomahawk user, right? So you're gonna transition that person out of rawhide. So when they transition out of rawhide just so happens it's just red and blue. You just get that for wearing the hat, the body armor, and the gloves. Those are things everybody makes anyway. So really great. You could just you just put this right onto your second person who's probably wearing rawhide. You could almost activate this right away. So this is really cool to get rid of the green. It's a neat little thing. Again, there's other expansion. I'm just evaluating core and how you would use it in core, and rawhide would be the perfect example. Also, you could put it on like Screaming Antelope too. Screaming Antelope easily gets red and blues. So it's a neat. Getting rid of green is helpful. It's awesome. I like it. I think this is a great change for Sonic Tomahawk. I think Sonic Tomahawk's a great weapon. It's a really strong axe now. you just put Monster Tooth here, and you've got this like instantly. If you're wearing raw, this is great. It's a nice buff. It's one of the better acts. It might be the best. Well, not the best axe. There's still always oxidized lantern glaives and stuff, but this is a great axe. This is really great. It's great. Sonic Tomahawk really got helped out. And again, Phoenix is still in Gambler's Chest, so Phoenix is getting all the cool buffs and stuff, which is fine. Phoenix is great. Let's go on to the new items. First, new items, Scrap Lantern. That's right, it's a lantern. I myself am a huge fan of People of the Lantern. I know there's lots of people like the Dragon or whatever, but I really like People of the Lantern. I enjoy it. I enjoy the sandboxness. I enjoy the core. It's the core game. It's really open-ended. It really sets the flavor of the lore, you know, calling lantern years, using the lanterns, the Watcher, all those stuff. I like People of the Lantern. I think it's great. So getting more lanterns, because what People of the Lantern does, I don't want to spoil it, but having more lanterns in People of the Lantern is a great thing. The fact that these are also lanterns and being added to the game, I think Gambler's Chest will probably also have that lantern post-Watcher rule for reasons. It makes sense in post-Watcher. Why would the Gambler would do that? I don't know, but I'm sure lanterns will go forward being the same thing. Maybe it will make sense when we see the Gambler's Chest and why the Gambler would have you carrying around Watchers. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe something's inside the ball. Maybe there's the Watcher orb inside the snoozing mass of people. Who knows? Either way, very neat. This is just good. Right? You're going to be put in that situation where you have to take lanterns anyway. This is great. This is just good, right? It's just good. There's nothing bad about this. Adding lanterns to the game, and we got 2 of them. This is just good. Even as a basic item, getting accuracy is just nice to have it like access to. So this is great. Here's the other one. This polishing lantern. Again, another lantern. Just great. Look at this. Ignore early iron. Early iron is such a stupid rule, and now this just ignores it when you're carrying around this lantern. So that alone is great. Early iron is really annoying when you know you're pre-Watcher and you can't oxidize yet, and you have those things that you're building because you want to oxidize them. I don't know if I should try not spoilering stuff, or not putting spoilers and spoiling stuff for people who are watching this to learn about 1.6. That's why I'm talking so weird about the Watcher and stuff. But yeah, there's a certain item that you're going to want to do something in core after Watcher, and it suffers from this until you can do that. So this is great. The other ability here is you spend an action to polish the edge of an adjacent survivor's finesse weapon, which is cool that you get finesse now has like, oops, I'll scroll a little bit, which is cool. Finesse actually has an ability here, or it interacts with this, and then it gains +4 for the next attack, limit once per attack. Cool. Finesse is a thing. You can use this on multiple things that have finesse. Finesse used to just be a word that was on stuff for no reason. Now there's a reason. Interesting, neat. Again, lanterns. Love them lanterns. I love both these lanterns. I think they're the best part about this card pack. I love them. Scrap Rebar here. Scrap Rebar exists. I'm going to talk about Scrap Rebar. All right. Alright. Again, I don't think this card pack was meant as a core fix. You know, like it's meant to buff a little bit of stuff in core, make it a little bit, play a little bit better, but this is meant for Gambler's Chest, right? That's what this is meant for. This is meant for when you don't have access to hit location manipulation, right? When you don't have Cat Eye Circlet in your game. So the weapon to the left loses frail, right? That's why you'd want the hit point, right? Because as it is in standard, or in core, you just get your Cat Eye Circlet, And frail, you just don't attack a super dense location, right? You just don't do it because you can scout ahead at all the hit locations. But if you can't scout ahead at hit locations, I guess this is good. Safety insurance. Gains unwieldy. Unwieldy is the thing that was on leather whip, I think it was. I forget. Either way, when you roll a 1, you do 1 damage to yourself or something like that. I forget exactly what unwieldy does. That's not the point, right? The point here is this arrow needs to point to the weapon to the left that loses frail, right? So you could point to fist and tooth with this and then punch yourself in the face because they're unwieldy. That's the main thing here. That's what scrap rebar is meant to do. So that's the only reason why you'd ever use it, is to make your fist and tooth unwieldy and punch yourself whenever, and bite your tongue all the time. That's what this is for. That's why this was added. So, all joking aside, this thing archives itself, and it costs a lot. Whatever. I don't want to talk about scrap rebar. I enjoy scrap rebar. I understand what it's trying to do. It's meant for non-Cat Eye Circlet campaigns, non-White Lion campaigns. It's trying. It's trying. That's scrap rebar. It costs a little bit too much, and then it archives itself on top of that. Also, I know you could be thinking, well, look, it helps out Zimbato. Zimbato's frail. Well, yeah, this also points into one of Zimbato's affinities. This has no affinities on here. Scrap rebar. Scrap bone spear. This was added to the game. This is a spear. And this is an example of barbed 4. See? Barbed 4. So this just show the reason why this was added to the game was to show you that, look, barbed 4. That's scrap bone spear. I don't want to talk about scrap bone spear at all. It costs too much. Like scrap rebar costs too much, right? Like, I would have liked to seen it maybe cost 1 scrap instead of 2. Scrap bone spear costs too much. Like, it costs too much. Like, I have no idea why this costs that much. I don't even want to talk. It has so many costs attached to it. Scrap bone spear exists. I'm done talking about scrap bone spear. So that's the end of what was included in the changes for the actual core game itself. You've got promo content in here and expansion content. So as you can see here, this is for the promo content stuff. This is just a settlement event. I don't know if this stuff was meant to be added to the core game. I think it was just included because people who backed Kickstarter 1 probably are also going to buy the card pack. Everybody who's buying the card pack is not buying the core game, right? So everybody who's buying the card pack can go ahead and they can get all their promo stuff that they missed out on, all their cool promos that they really want. You got them now, right? They're in the card pack. That's your way of getting them. Neat. So this is your way of getting some of that stuff that was in the pinups. This settlement event gets added to the settlement event deck. I don't know if it will be in actual core, but if it is, we can evaluate it as if this is in the settlement event deck moving forward. This settlement event does nothing, right? It lets you buy these things. So this is a really good one. This just makes the settlement event deck bigger, and this has no downside, nothing at all. This is just... Settlement events can be good, but they can also be bad. So this is just a nothing one. It just erases a lantern settlement event year, settlement event from a lantern year, which is fine. Great. This is how you get that stuff. All these promo things, I don't really want to go over their promo stuff. Colt Speaker Knife is included in this. The stuff that I'm using in my Season 2 right now for the Sword Mastery, the Beyond the Wall, so the cloth leggings and the leather breastplate are in this. They're neat little additions. The breastplate's really good. It's outfit. The leggings are an outfit. You don't get all of it. You don't get the tabard, and you don't get the whatever the other one was. Oh, the ridiculous white dragon things that you can't even use anyways. So they're not included. But you get Colt Speaker Knife. You get the Allison stuff, which I'm also using in Season 2. I think those are great things to have in core because they let you play the Twilight Lane training, because you have to have that cloak pretty much all the time to make that work. So they're great. Those are the promos that I'm using in my Season 2 playthrough right now are in here for the majority of them are in here. And they really help they help make core a little bit better. They should be included in there. I don't know if they will be, though. There's no real place for them, the stickers in the book. There is for Tattered Parcel, because it just replaces something that's already there. But for Colt Speaker Knife, there isn't a place for that to go. Like, those wares that she's selling and stuff, those are like new things, not part of that page. So either that page is going to get redone in the core rulebook, or it won't be in there, or it will just be a sticker, and then you can decide whether or not you still want to use the promo stuff. So, if that's the case, there's also Settlement in the Snow. I have that one here too. Settlement in the Snow is a really weird one. Either way, it's another settlement event. We can look at that, but let's talk about the expansion stuff that's in here. So, the expansion stuff, Dung Beetle Knight sees a large majority of fixes. It gets one hit location card corrected to reward the correct reward for the critical injury. 2 AI cards are fixed, so you can actually build the deck and play the game correctly, and the AI card itself is fixed. 1 disorder, the vermin thing, is just the way that Doom interacts with the vermin, the new wording for Doom from 1.5, so that was just fixed to update the wording, which is great. It better works with Doom. So, Tyrant gets a sticker and a card. Lonely Tree gets a sticker and the card. These were all done to fix those expansions to make them playable. Or not to make them playable, but to make them, do what they say they're supposed to do, right? The cards that they were referencing were missing. Sunstalker was missing an entire resource, so you just get that. Lonely Tree gets an actual terrain card. Lion Knight also gets an actual terrain card as well. I meant to say that, but they also get a villain card. Again, that's mostly with Doom. All these things are awesome. So now let's talk about Vespertine Bow. Vespertine Bow goes down from 6 strength to 1 strength. That's just a fix, right? That might not be the only fix incoming for Vespertine Bow. Vespertine Bow was a problem in the game, right? This fixed it. It addressed it quickly. That's fine. That's great. It addressed Vespertine Bow. It didn't change anything outside the strength, so it's just a fix. It could still get addressed in Campaigns of Death. I think it's likely that it still will. Maybe Cumbersome shouldn't be on there. There's neat side effects to having it 1 strength. What is it? A broken back or destroyed back survivor can now use it because it's less than 2 strength. So, secret buff. Either way, whatever. Vespertine, like, I don't think... I think that more changes will be coming to these things, right? Like, this isn't all the changes you'll see to the... Because Dung Beetle Knight, also, the settlement location for Dung Beetle Knight just has a gear card that's just not the right name on it, right? The settlement event, you can build a gear, but that's not the name for the gear, right? So either the gear card is named wrong or the settlement events are named wrong. But those weren't fixed here, which makes me think that the settlement event itself will probably be changed in Campaigns of Death. So just why do it now? Which is fine. I'm okay with all that stuff, right? And I think that'll be the same with Flower Knight. Flower Knight is like Screaming Antelope. It's got a lot of problems in it. But at least Vespertine Bow is a quick fix. I think it's a great idea to fix it. At least you made it less of a problem now. It's not super overpowered. It doesn't fix everything, but it's great. Tom is the same thing for Dung Beetle Knight. The Tom didn't get a sticker. So the Tom setup is still weird and wonky because it's missing one of the AIs and its setup is named wrong. So I think Tom will be all changed in Campaigns of Death too. I'm happy this exists. The fact that this exists means we might get more patches in the future. He has said he wants to do that. This came out, so it's proof that he's attempting to. I think these are great things. So I'm happy. I love the card pack. I'm really happy with it. There's, again, just because I don't like Scrap Spear, which is basically the only thing I don't like. That's basically it. Just Scrap Spear. Rebar, it tries. It's okay, whatever. But I think it's awesome. I think everything is awesome. So I'm happy. I'm glad it exists. There could have been more fixes. Screaming Antelope. I think it's coming. Also, because of the perfect resource situation, I think you're probably going to want this White Lion to reward some perfect resources, and you're probably going to want Screaming Antelope to reward some perfect resources. Those weren't in here. And I think that's because the focus is Gambler's Chest. Is that a side effect of 1.6 card pack? Kinda. It's kind of a side effect. But hey, at least it fixes stuff, right? I think this is great. So that's my thoughts on the 1.6. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next Season 2 episode.